In today's watercolor tutorial, I'm breaking down my process for painting these watercolor butterflies into simple steps and hopefully making the intricate achievable. Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your business. Hello my friends, what's up? Welcome back. My name is Shayda and today we're going to do some more watercolor painting together. We're going to paint these butterflies and although they look intricate, I'm breaking it down into really simple steps. First of all, supplies. I'm working in my little Strathmore sketch pad or watercolor pad. You've seen me use it in other videos. Great paper quality, nice soft cover and good size, and it's about 20 bucks. I also have a pencil and an eraser, and then we're going to work out our design on scrap paper. So grab some scrap paper and tracing paper and a pen and some graphite transfer paper if you have it, although that's optional and we'll talk about all that later. Grab your watercolor paints. I'm using my Munoz set, but you could use any paints. And then it's nice to have paper towel for blotting and a couple glasses of clean water. For brushes, you're going to want to have a couple different sizes of pointed round brushes. Synthetic or animal hair, doesn't matter. If you want to know my exact brushes, head over to the blog for all the supply links. And then this is optional, but you could use masking fluid and I'll show you how we're going to use it, but you totally don't have to if you don't have it. And when using this, it's good to have an old or cheap paintbrush on hand. If after watching and following along with today's tutorial, you still have some questions about the process, I have made a watercolor butterflies worksheet, and that is part of the bonus content that I give on Patreon. It all starts at $2 a month, so head over there and check it out after the video. Okay, let's get down to business. So the first step is to draw our butterflies or messily sketch them and to create a nice design that looks good on the page. So what I've done here is on scrap paper, I'm sketching out a bunch, and what I want to say about this is first of all, heart shapes. A lot of them are just a line, do a line for the body and then play around with some heart shapes. One wing could be a heart or a heart shape could make up both wings. I think you can see how I'm doing that. You can sketch in some of the designs for the wings if you want, but just have fun and don't overthink it. These butterflies do not need to be symmetrical. I know there is a certain symmetry and balance when drawing butterflies, but don't worry about that. Don't focus on that. A helpful step in the drawing and design process is to trace your butterflies. It can help you get them looking just right, and it really helps with the layout. I've taped that in because we're going to transfer it, but you can see I've actually changed my design from the scrap paper. And you know what? I traced it 3 times until I was happy with the placement of the butterflies, so where they sit on the page. Now what I'm going to do is put some graphite transfer paper under there, and that allows us to transfer our design onto our good watercolor paper. If you don't have graphite paper, don't worry about it. You can always just put a layer of pencil on the back of your tracing paper and then tape it in the same way and go over all your butterflies with a nice sharp pencil. At this point, I just want to kind of make sure that I like where the last little butterfly is going to sit, because you can see I wanted to move him up a bit, and so I'll transfer him in there. I'm skipping the one on the very bottom left, and I've got 5 butterflies here, and the transfer is really clear, but it's light, and I can go ahead and paint over it. Our next step is very fun and also very optional. So what I'm doing here is painting a little bit of masking fluid onto the butterfly wings to make some fun designs, putting little stripes and spots. Masking fluid is a liquid latex that is very good at protecting areas of our painting. So you can paint right over it and you'll have some naked page under there. It doesn't take long to dry. So actually we're going to let it dry and start mixing up some of our paint colors. First of all, I am starting with brown. I've got a really nice dark brown here in the Munoz set. So what I do is I scrub that pan of paint with a wet brush, then bring the pigment over to the palette. So with a wet brush, scrub the cake of paint. You can see I'm mixing a little purple and brown together. That's a combination I like. Purple really helps to darken the brown and kind of cuts the yellow a bit. Then with a clean wet brush, I am picking up some of this yellow ochre color. Again, just bring the pigment over to the palette, because on the palette you can add more water or you can mix in another color. I'm mixing a lot of ochre and brown. I'm also doing this light yellow color and mixing it with a bit of white to give me like a nice creamy buttery yellow. So I'm working with some really natural sort of autumn tones, but you could do these butterflies in any color palette. You want to do pink and bright orange, I think that would be just as lovely. I'm also mixing up kind of a beigey cream. So for that I use white with a bit of French gray and a bit of brown. And that's going to give me like a very, very creamy color. And then of course I've got a bit of gray, and I like to mix gray and brown to give a warm gray. And then I am mixing a bit of this aqua color. It's right down there at the bottom of the palette, and I'm mixing French gray with that. And then I mixed in a bit of like a darker cool blue. And you're also going to see me mix in like a dark forest green, and that's giving me this really nice muted blue. It's always a good idea, no matter what color palette you choose to work with, to test your paints on a bit of scrap paper. Do they work together? Do the colors look good? That's what we want to know, and that's why the scrap paper. Okay, our colors are mixed and tested and our masking fluid is dry, so we're gonna start painting. We've got a nice design on the page, so we don't have to worry about drawing the butterflies or where on the page they're going to sit. We have the layout done. We've done all this prep, and now it's basically like, you know, coloring a coloring page, but with paint. We're just filling in the wings, and for this step, I like to use light colors. You can see for the first one, I'm playing around with like a very light beige and a medium beige, kind of having a bit of fun with wet into wet. Then for the second butterfly, I'm using a light bit of, or a watery bit of that blue that I mixed up. So go light for your first coat. You can paint right over the masking fluid. Just follow the guidelines that you laid out for your butterflies and have some fun with wet into wet. Grab a bit of the darker blue and add it to the wet area and just see what happens. You'll get some nice random blends of color, and that's gonna look really good and really natural for these butterfly wings. If you are a fan of the channel, you know I love to paint natural things found in nature, and that's because they're hard to mess up. Who can tell you that that butterfly doesn't look like a butterfly? You're just having fun and painting and playing with color and playing with form, and nothing has to be perfect because nothing in nature is perfect. For my little mothy guy down here, I use the warm beige color on the top wings, and then for the wings below, I'm putting a darker brown. And then for my last one here, I'm using actually a bit of burnt orange, and you're going to see me have a little bit of fun with wet into wet. So we do a really light orange wash, and then add this really dark browny orange color into the wet area, and it just seeps out beautifully, and you get some really random and organic blends of color. Here you can see me do this again, and that's going to look great for the butterfly wings. So we'll let those dry, we'll just let them sit for a moment, and now what we're going to do, our next step, is simply to do the butterfly bodies. I did do a tiny bit of masking fluid on one or two of the bodies just to give me some little highlights, and that way I don't have to worry about painting highlights. I can just paint right over and remove the masking fluid later. Again, it's a good idea to do a lighter color on some of them, and then you can always build up color. Remember with watercolors, if you go too dark, I say this as I go really dark on this one, but if you go too dark and then you decide it wasn't a good idea, there's not really any going back. You can't paint lighter on top of dark with watercolor. So for some of them, go light. Some of them you may want to go dark. I like that, you know, that really dark, almost black-brown body does look good with the light-colored wings. So totally up to you, I guess, is what I'm saying. And we'll add some cute little antennae as well. So here's where we're at. We've transferred our butterfly design to the paper, chosen and mixed our paint colors, filled in the wings with light colors, and then filled in the butterfly bodies. And now what we're going to do is start to make some designs on those wings. And this is why you want to paint them in light colors, because now you can build up darker, richer colors with your designs that you're going to add. For this one, I added a pencil line to be my guide, and now I'm using just a simple dark brown paint, and I am filling in the bottom of the wings. And the masking fluid is making my design element really easy because I can paint right over it, and I'll have all those beautiful spots. Then I'm using small vertical lines to create some stripes. And then what I'm doing is flipping the butterfly upside down because I like to pull the brush towards my body. And I'm using the very delicate fine point of that pointed round brush, and I am doing these delicate little lines. And you can see that they're not perfect, like some are a little thicker than others. It doesn't matter. And again, with the symmetry, yes, you want a bit of balance, but like I'm not even counting. One wing probably has way more lines than the other wing. It's not important. With that guy looking good, what I want to do is actually remove the masking fluid on these other 4. Well, I only put masking fluid on 3, but I'm getting rid of it. You just use your finger and rub it away. And now look what I can do. I can actually add some lighter paint. So you don't necessarily need those spots to be white. You can add more color at this point, but it makes it really easy to create these super fun, random, and playful blends of color on the wings. And with this yellow one, like I'm getting really messy with it. I added purple, I added brown. This guy's getting some dark orange, like cool triangle spots. I'm just, getting quite random and having a bit of fun with it. That yellow one actually looks a bit crazy, but don't worry because we're gonna keep layering. I left the masking fluid on the top one while the brown dries, but I'll eventually remove it. And we're going to start adding even more delicate details, starting with this little orange friendo down here. And I'm just putting these really delicate little brown brush strokes across the bottom. This probably looks quite detailed, but I'm just basically doing these fast moving light brush strokes. They are not perfect. It's easy to see other people's work and think, oh, that looks so good, or she's so talented, or I could never do that, but you can. And mine, I don't see this as perfect. I see all the mistakes, of course, because I'm the artist. That is the artist's curse, to see all our own mistakes when no one else probably does. So just get a little random and have fun with it. Don't worry about symmetry. Don't worry about perfection. That will just slow you down. And if the stripes and all the delicate lines, you're just like, I don't have the brush control to do that, do not worry, because you can do polka dots and random blobs, and that will look just as pretty. Try doing different patterns, or just get really loose and don't even worry about a pattern. So I've said you do not need symmetrical wing designs, but to achieve some balance, here is my tip. If you paint 2 lines on one wing, go ahead and paint those 2 lines on the other wing before you paint anything else. So kind of go back and forth as you do your design. That will make balance achievable. Other than that, I know these wings can look intricate, but they really are just playful, and the best designs are the ones you come up with as you paint, as you're just enjoying painting and you don't quite know what's gonna come out of your brush. So have fun. Okay, for this yellow guy, we are, again, I find the easiest way to do a stripe on a wing is to do like all these little lines. For me, that was just a way of doing a stripe that wasn't gonna look too heavy. So a bunch of vertical or horizontal lines together creates a stripe. Some big splotches in kind of messy patterns works for me. I'm going really dark on the yellow. I had built up some color patterns with yellow, light brown, and light gray, and now I can get a dramatic effect by going really dark with this super dark brown. And for the yellow one, I decided to give it a bit of border on the edge of the wings. That's probably the most tricky, but give it a try. Why not? This is all just for fun. And I just kept it really thin on the inside of the wings and let that border get a little wider and thicker and more substantial on the outer part of the wings. Anywhere that I still have a little bit of negative space, like on the body of this little guy, I'm going to fill that in with some lighter colors. Again, the trick or the beauty of the masking fluid. And you know what? I think I'm about done. I'm just having a bit of fun adding some really tiny, messy little butterflies to kind of complete the design of the piece. I felt like I needed something tiny to kind of bring the whole painting together as a finished piece. And then voila, she is finished. The butterflies are all done. I had so much fun painting these. I really hope that by breaking it down into simple steps, you'll feel that this is achievable, because I would love to see some of these on social media. Make sure to share using hashtag #ShaydaMadeMeDrawIt. Head to the blog for supply links, and I want to say thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring our video today. When you're an artist, it can be a little bit tricky to figure out how to make money at what you're passionate about, but with the internet, there's never been a better time to take your passion online and create a real career, and Squarespace makes that easy. They make making your own website super simple. I created a fun little website for my art and my lifestyle, and it was really simple to create galleries, and that's so important when you're creative. You want to show off the work that you've done. They have automatic image resizing. You can upload pics from your social media, and they have 24/7 email support if you do run into trouble. Oh, and did I mention you can set up a store? Yes, you can sell your work with a Squarespace website. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, head to squarespace.com/ShaydaCampbell to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.